Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. As far as leadership is concerned, is Umar ibn al-Khattab. Now, why I choose him as a role model is because of certain things he did. If you follow his example, you will stay grounded. You won't lose yourself in all the trappings of leadership. All those trappings of leadership, the title, people rushing to carry your bag, that's one I fight. Because I let it happen long enough. After a while, I will forget what the weight of my own bag feels like. As a leader, Umar ibn al-Khattab, his model was the leader leads the way in everything. He leads by example. And that he's conscious of his responsibility. He's conscious of the fact that he will have to give account. And he's conscious of the fact that he's serving. He may be the head, but it's just so that he can serve. The same way your brain serves the entire body. If your toe is aching, your brain must answer for it. Your brain cannot say, oh, hold it. It's not my business. It is its business. Even if it's one tiny thing, your brain must register it has happened. Your brain must say, check and see. Was it ant? Was it pin? What was it? And your brain later will register it has stopped paining or is still paining. That was Umar ibn al-Khattab's model of leadership. Now, like Umar, this is something a leader should not forget. The higher you go, the lesser you know. And I don't mean know in terms of intelligence. Know in terms of the fact. What is really happening? What do they call it? The gongo? Is it the cocoa of the matter? How do we say it? The cocoa of the matter, yes. Leaders, if you're in a leadership position, just take it, you don't know the cocoa of any matter in your organization. I'm in a leadership position in my school, this school. I agree. I don't know the cocoa. Recently, someone, when I was asking for feedback, revealed something very interesting to me. Said, you know, when he just started working here, some people advised him, anytime you enter her office, anything she says, say yes, ma. Don't argue, don't disagree. And I only found out this is about 7 or 8 years after he had been given that piece of advice. All the while I've been interacting with him, did I know? Alhamdulillah, he's the kind of person who does not allow everything that enters his ear to sit inside his brain. Some, he will just shake it or I'll be going. Luckily. But I wonder how many have been told such and actually stopped arguing. Not because of anything that happened when they said, but I think, but because somebody said. So all that, the 8 years, did I know the cocoa of the matter? No, I didn't know the cocoa of the matter. Therefore, if you use Umar radiallahu anhu's model, one thing you would do is go see and hear for yourself from time to time. And we know the story of Umar ibn al-Khattab. When would he usually do that going to see? What time of day? Night. At night. He never said it, but if you think about it, why would he choose night, not daytime? So he wouldn't be recognized. In the darkness, people will not know it's Umar. It is the Umar. They wouldn't know, so they would talk freely. Ordinarily, then he would get to see and hear for himself the cocoa of the matter. That's how he heard the woman saying, Umar, it's God that will judge between me and him. And wait, what did Umar do? I'm hungry, I've not eaten. May. Is there not enough food inside the Baitul Mal? And see, I am here with my children. Spend time in people's spaces. If it's a school, their workspace. One of the best things I know that has helped me try to see some of the cocoa, still not all, some, is to show up in people's workspaces. Classrooms, labs. When you show up, you share the space. And even if it's for a short while, you'll be able to know what are they dealing with. Sometimes as a leader, you hear your teachers complaining about a student or about a situation or about the period or about the topic. Many of us make the mistake of saying they are lazy. That's why. Is it not the one this one has been doing? Before you conclude on what the issue is, try and see if you can go and hear and see for yourself, if you can share their space. Management by walking around. This is another one of those pebbles we will pick up. It's a more recent theory or idea in leadership circles, but that's exactly what Umar radiallahu anhu was doing all those years ago, centuries ago. Management by walking or wandering around means don't sit in your office and from there be pushing paper and calling people. Get up and go. Go around, go and look, go and see what's going on. And I know it from personal experience and from feedback. When leaders show up in people's workspaces, people begin to check themselves. And they begin to wonder, why are you here? Especially if you are not in the habit of doing it. Teachers, is that not so? Did somebody report me? My position usually is where that brother is outside, by the window. It helps me see and hear for myself before I am noticed. And sometimes I see how the teacher changes when the teacher now notices me. So teachers in the house, try not to let that person there change you. We already talked of teaching and learning and designing, Ko. Do your research, design. Then let the person there see what they want to see. Because we who stand by the window, we see when you change gear, we see. Yes. You may feel but now that they are there, you should try harder. They've already seen you. Guy, leave it. Tomorrow, try harder, do better. The intention for us, we who go wandering around, we should have the intention to serve, to support, to witness, to share. To correct should be the last thing. Not the first, not to catch them. They'll say, I heard that they say he's always doing this, she's always doing this. Then you that you don't go around, that day you now go. I caught them. No, you are not doing Umar's model. Umar radiallahu anhu went round to serve, to see who needs, so I can support, so I can provide. Listen and look for needs, not weaknesses and faults. Yes, you will see weaknesses and faults. Even you, okay, not you, even we, the leaders, when we teach and somebody else observes, they will see weaknesses and faults. Ask your own students, they will tell you what they perceive as your weaknesses and faults. Recently, some students wrote feedback for me. One said I am boring them. Another one said she's very boring, and they didn't put one O in the boring. They put O. Another one said she will not let us go for short break. She is wicked. Since 2003, 17 years down the road, I suddenly became boring and wicked to some children. What I did was to listen for the needs. It was not nice to read their feedback, I can tell you that. It was not sweet. If I tell you it was sweet, it's a lie. I'm laughing now because I finished telling myself sorry. But what I did was to listen for their needs. What do they need? What is their challenge? For some of them, because I had the privilege of seeing most teachers' feedback, I did a quick analysis and realized some of these same people kept complaining class after class. That's when I said, okay, I'm not that bad after all. I said, however, there is still a need. And it's my responsibility, even though I didn't cause it, to take care of it, to fix it. So the remaining 2 classes, I had to start saying, what will I change to reach that handful? There were about 5 out of a class of 30-something. But what can I do to reach the 5? And I actually watched one of the girls come alive when I made that adjustment. So this woman said, on judgment days, me and him, oh, God will judge. What? He could have decided, oh, God will judge. Did I know? Am I the one that caused it? In fact, since you cannot talk properly, stay there. He could have done that. What did he do? He went to the Beit Mal, carried the sack, put it on his back, and as he was going, his servant said, let me carry. What did he say? Will you carry for me on Judgment Day? So just leave me and this sack. The one this woman wants to drag case before God. Allah is just, we know. But do you even want someone to call your name? No. So let me go give her. Is it not sack of grain? I will give. I will make the fire. I will even cook the food. So you take responsibility as a leader even if there is no blame on you. But sometimes you are the one at fault now. So let me go back to these my children who said I was boring them. When I looked back on my teaching, part of the challenge was I had used the same pattern for a number of weeks, 4 or 5 weeks. Good pattern, effective. The content kept changing. The work they had to do kept changing, but the steps were more or less the same. So to that extent, I take responsibility for their getting so bored that they gave me no one O in boring, but oh. So you look in the mirror. Before you say, it's not my fault, Sha, but let me just do it because I'm a leader. No, first look in the mirror. Say, in what way could I have contributed to this? Since you have power and responsibility, in what way could I have moved that I would have stopped this from happening? I didn't cause it, but if I had shifted, I would have blocked it from happening. That's looking in the mirror. Because there's this idea that you can either look in the mirror or you look out of the window. Out of the window, you're looking at somebody else. Mirror, it's yourself. So once as a leader, you notice something is not right. First is when you are done with that, you now say, okay, so let me take responsibility for fixing. Before you now say, who else contributed? Let me work with them so they do not contribute tomorrow. Like Umar radiallahu anhu, model the standards you want. So leaders in the house, please show of hands again. You hold a leadership position in your school. Let's start with school. Thank you. Hands down. Now I'm talking to you people. What is it you want from teachers? What qualities do you want to see in teachers? Don't say anyone I've said here. Bring more. What qualities do you want to see in teachers? Dedication, productivity, commitment, sincerity, punctuality, excellence, creativity, hard work, innovation. In short, we want super. Let's model it. Everything you're asking for, model it as best as you can. You will not get it right 100%, but you will try 100%. And you will share with your staff that you are also trying, that you are on a journey too. That was his model. Umar radiallahu anhu was ruthlessly honest, ruthlessly strict with himself. What leaders need to do? So this is where we begin. You refine yourself. Assess your strengths and your weaknesses. Understand your personality. Know your working style, your communication style, your conflict style. Because a person's conflict style can increase a conflict or reduce the conflict. Your communication style can cause conflict or minimize conflict. Your conflict style can make people see you as a great leader or a poor leader. Even if you don't hold a leadership position, if you're in a position of influence, I'm still talking to you. If you're an old member of staff, very often you are influential. And as a teacher in the classroom, you are a leader. Stretch yourself. Take the jagged edge off your weaknesses. You can never remove your weaknesses 100%, but you can make them less sharp. less obvious, less disruptive. Increase your strengths. When you know what you are good at, use that strength more often. Embrace your personality. Some of us are more extroverted than introverted. Some of us, we like mixing with people. We like talking to people. We want to make people feel comfortable and happy. Some of us, we like to get the job done. We do not enjoy crowds and long surutu. Embrace your personality. But also understand what is strong about your personality and what is weak about it. For instance, if you are a strong people person, you might sometimes sacrifice standards just to make people happy. You might sometimes choose not to correct because you don't want the person to be unhappy with you. If you're a strong task-oriented person, you might sometimes not have the time to notice that somebody is sick. Your mind is on, did the job get done? You might not remember that just yesterday you were told this person was on admission. But look at the person at work today. And after good morning, assalamu alaikum, wa alaikum assalam, you go straight into work. You need to understand what is great about these personality types and what do you need to increase or reduce. Now the leader has to do both the technical work and the pleasant work as well as the unpleasant work. Technical work is the one that most leaders in schools do. Check lesson plans, mark scripts, observe lessons, communicate with parents, talk to students. The pleasant one is when all is well. You want to announce to staff that their salaries will be raised, or do you want to announce to them salaries will be delayed? Option A, raise of salaries announced. Option B, announce delay in salary. Which one will you choose? Sharp. Somebody will say, like why am I even asking? You want to tell a parent that their child scored A for the first time in mathematics. Or you want to tell them the child has to repeat. Which one? Option A. Most of us like to carry good news. The job of a leader is to carry both. Good or bad, get the job done. Give and receive feedback. Now, this is one pebble we need to look at carefully, because that's one of the tasks of a leader, to give feedback. In the earlier session, we talked about what makes feedback qualitative. But that's when you are giving it. How about receiving it? Very often, leaders do not receive good quality feedback because nobody wants to give the leader bad news. It's like the parable of animals in the jungle who had to go and give the lion bad news. And as they just say, lion, sir, your daughter was shot by hunters. So everybody will enter the cave to tell the lion, but they don't come out. And today, many of us, that's how we treat leaders. Tell us sorry. Thank you. Don't give bad news. That's why that person wants that man. Don't, anything she says, say yes. Because it's very dangerous. The leader has power. You just say the wrong way. You just enter the ground. You are finished. As a leader, you have to learn to receive feedback. And you have to teach those you lead to give you feedback. How? By asking directly for it. Ask those you lead to give you feedback. Is it easy to ask for? No. Is it easy to give? No. Is it easy to receive? No. But I can tell you from personal experience, it's rewarding and it helps. What can you do to help them give you feedback? Ask some very simple, well-designed questions. Question 1. What is it that I do well? And please describe how I do it that makes you say I do it well. That one will be easy for them to answer. They will tell you very well, sharp, sharp. Question 2, what do I need to do differently? Question 3, what do I need to start doing? Question 4, what do I need to stop doing? Question 5, anything else? Question 1 is for them to give you sugar, honey. You will now put the honey inside your mouth. Then you now allow the medicine to follow. Question 2, 3, 4, tablet 1, 2, 3. Tablet, let me look for a tablet, Panadol. This one is Panadol, this one is ibuprofen, this one is amoxicillin. Because question 2, what do I need to do differently, is an indirect way of saying you are doing it wrong. Question 3, what do I need to start doing, is an indirect way of saying you are not doing it, you are supposed to, but you are not. Question 4, what do I need to stop doing, means this thing you are doing is not okay. Now, if you are the leader, you would actually say it like that. You need to stop, you need to start. This thing you are doing is not okay, it's not correct. Coming upwards is not easy. I just remembered something. When we were very little, we lived on the upper floor of this building. We had neighbors on the down floor. And sometimes the children, we upstairs, would have war against the children downstairs. So sometimes we will not go downstairs when the war is on. If not, the person in that family that is older than you can catch you and beat you before your siblings come and rescue you. So you people stay upstairs, you stay downstairs, and from there we'll be firing missiles at each other. Verbal missiles, no problem. You dey crazy, you dey mad, and so on and so forth. The one that became a problem was when the littlest boy, poor thing, he was around 4 years old, decided to spit at us. We were upstairs. He went twice and he then went back. We started laughing. It's easy when you are up to spit at people. Yes. But tell Oga that he didn't do it well. Back on your face. But when you as a leader, you craft the questions, you make it easier. Second thing to do, you can remove the face-to-face factor. So do WhatsApp, email, written feedback, just anything that removes the awkwardness of face-to-face. When I started years ago, it was always virtual, never face-to-face. Then, about 2 years ago, for the first time, 2 of those I always ask for feedback, gave some answers virtually, then said some other things. They will come and sit with me and talk to me. And when that happened, I said, yay. Several years down the road, comfort level went up. That, yeah, I can tell you face to face. Ask those who work closest with you. Ask those that you also rate. Because sometime in the past, you would have told them something that pained them. That will mean they will not be merciful with you. So they will tell you the truth. Just help them package it well. If you ask only your friends, at times out of love, they will tell you are okay. And it's small things, not too serious. Depending, some friends don't know how to say it like it is. So ask those who were closest with you. Ask those that you have given negative or constructive feedback before. Another idea, another stone we are picking up, hold a vision. It's the leader's job to hold a vision. To hold an idea of what do they want to see come to life in that organization. For a school, we'll say, what kind of students do you want to produce? That's a vision. You could also say, what kind of relationship do you want between school and parents? Or school and the neighborhood? Or the school and the ministry? These are visions. And it's the leader who should hold them. Even if the leader didn't conceive them, the leader is the one to hold them. Ideally, though, a leader should conceive visions. And the leader should hold the long-range vision and keep an eye on that. The higher you go in leadership, the longer should be the range of your vision and your thinking. You should be thinking, if you're a school head, you should be thinking in terms of decades, no matter how small your school is. You should be thinking in terms of, in the next 10 years, what do I want to see happening in this school if I'm still here? In the next 20 years. If you're a head of department, you can think in terms of 5 years, even if your tenure is short. That is how great civilizations rise. That is how great institutions endure, because there are people constantly thinking long-term and sustaining that vision long-term. And also adapting, staying flexible and adapting. Because if you picture your school in the next 10 years, there's so much that will happen in 10 years. How many of us imagined 2020? How many of us remember the first time we heard of COVID-19 virus? I know. It was in December, around, I can't remember the date, but I was going through WhatsApp. I saw something, corona, new corona. I said, oh, is it a new kind of car? I opened the message. New coronavirus, China. Swipe, I moved on. Did I imagine? I didn't imagine. Then I now said, this thing is spreading, where has it reached? It's there. So like many people, okay, it's still Ebola, and chicken, and maybe this one is an Ebola disease. We have Ebola, they should take corona. After a while, they say it's inside Africa, Egypt, hey. That's when people started arranging. Then they say it's in South Africa, They say it's in Nigeria, It's those people coming, running away from where it's happening. We started quarreling. They should close the borders. Everybody stay where you are. Next thing, shut down schools. Who pictured it? Nobody did. But a leader's job is to stay flexible. Even when things are shifting and they look as if they are crashing. To adapt. Another thing about the leader, another pebble, standards. You have a vision. You need to define the standards to be maintained. Because it's like a journey. You are traveling, you want to go from here to Abuja. You know it should take about 2.5 hours. It means there's a certain speed you should maintain. If you drop too far behind, you won't make it in time. You won't arrive at that goal. If you go too fast, God forbid, you may end up not arriving at all. Standards. And how do you drive? What do you do in that vehicle? Do you stop? When? How? Do you just see somebody selling bananas, say, yeah, let me take bananas to my family, break? Or is there a way? Is there a process? Similarly, in a school, there are processes, there are standards. You can't just say, but you said I should write lesson plan, I've written it now. Is it not punctuation? You said I should teach, I've taught it now. If you teach punctuation to SS1 students as if they are primary 1 students, that's below standard. It's a leader's job to define what should those standards be, or at least delegate who should define it. Then check that it has been properly defined and understood. It's the leader's job to get people to buy into the vision. For people to accept a vision, somebody has to sell it to them. Today we talked about technology. No? Okay, maybe that's what's going on now. But your colleagues will come back and tell you about technology. You can do this, you can do that. Do you think it's everybody that will jump on board? Last year we saw it. Online teaching. People were split into categories. You had the group that said, okay, which one? Zoom? Okay, no problem. Then you had the group that says Zoom. How? Okay, let's use WhatsApp. How? Then you have the group that down is just, oh God, they've come again. They say people should go home. Can't we all just stay at home? It's a leader's job to get people to buy in. Then to maintain the course over time, ready to change if necessary. And you might be wondering, so what did we do when we had different categories? We started from the most afraid set. Most afraid means they don't want at all. So what did we have to say? What did the leader have to say, the principal? One of the things he kept saying was, if you don't teach, parents will not pay fees. If they don't pay fees, you don't get paid. So fear or no fear, technophobia or no technophobia, people decided, let us try. You now come to the second group. Zoom, it's hard though. WhatsApp, it's hard though. What did we then do? Training. Here is how we should do it. Mistakes were made, correct. More mistakes, correct. Do it again, try again. So that's the leader's job, to look for where do people fit. As far as accepting a vision or a goal is concerned, then how should you respond as a leader? It's the leader's job to create and sustain the culture. Don't get me wrong, not the leader's job alone. But why I keep saying leader's job is that the leader has to carry that sack on his or her back. For a school, you should be talking about a culture of learning and growth, a culture of respectfulness, a culture of well-being. If people are not well, they cannot learn. Why are we seizing? This is another pebble we are seizing, culture. Because culture is like the car you use to carry vision, goals, ideas. It's culture we use to sustain communities and groups. So within a school, you have to say, what is our school culture? Culture, you're talking about how we do things. That's it, very simple, the way we do things. And culture doesn't have to be old to be sound. You can create a new culture that is sound to replace one that is not sound. They are cultural forces. And I've just listed some as an example that you leverage to create the culture you want. Now, leverage cultural forces, spaces. How do you use the space in your organization? What do you devote space to? It tells a lot about what you consider important. You come to an organization and there's space for people to sleep, for staff to sleep, to have siesta, or take a nap around 11 or 12. Would you say that is a serious organization? I'm asking, seriously. No and yes. Who said yes? Today is today. Stand up, defend it. The question, you come to an organization, they have spaces for teachers to go and sleep around 11 or 12 or in the afternoon. I said, would you call that a serious organization? Somebody said no. No. Someone said yes. No, we're talking about school. Yes, please stand up, defend it.
Serious organization.
Why?
Because it means the organization has a sense of understanding of different situations that are bound to happen in the school as it will be.
Okay.
Yes, every staff comes to school or his organization for work well prepared to deliver whatever is expected of him or her. But actually, taking a look into the imperfection of man, and also as a point of encouragement to one who feels weak at some point, there are situations where you wake up and you are not feeling so well. Now you may have the option of giving excuse to your school that, look, the situation I'm into today, I cannot make it to come to school. This is it, this is it. But when you have the understanding that there could be that environment that encourages you to rest, even if for 1 minute or for whatever time it may be, it may encourage you to rather come to school and do the little you can than to just stay home. And that adds up to the quality and level of success achieved in the whole or overall aim of the school or activities of the school.
Thank you very much. I know some teachers are liking this position. The person who said no, you're opposing the motion. Are you still opposing?
Yes, I have something to say.
All right.
All right. Assalamu alaikum. Okay. Why I say no, seriously, what comes to our mind in this aspect is that generally people will see it. What are we here for? We are here for a business. And believe you me, no proprietor of today will see a staff that you are here for a work and you are sleeping. They doesn't want to take that at that particular period of time. For example, which you have mentioned.
Don't worry about what proprietors.
Okay, because what are you expected to do? You need to be what? Engaged in a classroom. Although we have a free time. Yes. What we are meant to understand is that classes are not meant to be free during those periods, except maybe on their own break time or their closing. But for a staff, definitely you must have a free period. So for a staff to be sleeping at a particular period of time, what kind of free period does this staff have that he or she will be sleeping? And even if it is your right to have a free period to rest for some times, to mark, to evaluate, to make questions and other things, to mark assignment and other things during those free periods, at least whosoever comes will know that yes, somebody is working. He comes here to work. But for somebody to come and see you sleeping, not in the class, not sitting down and marking or preparing notes or lesson plans, the person will say these people are not serious. That is what will come to the mindset. Thank you, man.
All right. Thank you very much. Okay, the second speaker was trying to enter the mind of the proprietor and the heads of departments and the principal, people like and vice principal, people like us, even visitors, yes. We'll talk about where to sleep, but we said create a space to sleep. There are currently some companies in the US that now have sleeping pods, sleeping areas for their staff. So if you are sleepy, I beg, go and sleep. Wake up, get back to work. Examiner, do you hold a position? Which one? HOS. Head of school, okay. Give an inch or take a mile. I agree. However, is it everybody who will take a mile? Is it everybody? Let me use myself as an example. Would you call me unserious?
No.
No. But I like to nap. I like to take a break during my work day. If I don't, I will be in motion, but I will know all the neurons are not firing. I will know some have shut down. You interact, you Tuko, thank you. You interacting with me will see my eyes open. Your own is food. Okay. Not sleep. Mine is nap. Food, then nap. You will see my eyes open. You will hear me speaking English. You will see me walking vram. But me, I know that there are some departments that have closed upstairs. How do I know? I may be reading a document. I have to read twice or thrice before I fully comprehend. I sometimes will finish reading, then realize I no longer remember that point. The person will be talking to me, then I'll now notice, what was it she said 2 minutes ago? Then I'll say, sorry, please, what was it you said? About, then they'll fill me in. They'll think I'm just clarifying. I'm not clarifying, I lost. Because some departments are shut down. What did I start doing? When I was a hostel staff, it was easy. Because it was a hostel. If I feel that way, I had times of day, typically between Zuhur and Asr, or between Asr, that's between 4 and 5. I just go into the room, my room in the hostel, shut the door, sleep, wake up, all neurons are firing, and I can then carry on working till 11 p.m. or midnight. If I don't do it, by Maghrib even, I am no longer at my top game. I'm less productive. I am moving, but I am less productive. When I say walking here, the situation changed. This is school block. See the long corridor, see the door, see the offices, everything's like this. I want a nap. Or maybe it's not even a nap. I want to slow down my brain. Because sometimes it's not a nap I'm looking for so much as I want the brain to slow down. Stop thinking, stop listening, stop processing. Just pause. Cool down, pause. I would lock the door for about 15 minutes, sometimes up to half an hour. Or in some cases, I'm working on something and constant interruption is causing the brain wires to be missing each other. So lock the door so that I can just work, seal off the job. It was hard for some people to understand. Why? As I said, it is a serious organization. You are paid to work. You are locking your door for what? I said, but I'm working. Which work? Open the door. Let us enter and be talking to you. Or I say, I actually just want to stop for a minute, catch myself. And some people don't understand. What do you mean, catch yourself? See you here now. But psychologists keep saying one thing. That's why I said, understand your personality. We are not all the same. If you are more on the introverted side, you will sometimes want to break away from people, from talking. It's too much stimulus. I usually say, for me, crowds exhaust me. Sorry, it's not about you people. After this program, I will want to run inside maybe like my room. Even the children become too many, and they are not many. Crowds can exhaust me. Do you have staff like me? They need a quiet space. Those people, drop them inside staff room. Wahala. But some people love the staff room. That's where it's happening, it's bubbling. From this table, they gist to that table, and they're still marking. And you, people like me, will be wondering, how are you marking? But that is what is gingering them. So when you talk about the people you work with, what do you do with your space? It says a lot. If you create space, for instance, for sleeping, or you create space for staff to eat, even if you don't provide them food, but you have a space designated for eating, it says we care about these things. We want staff to be comfortable when they are going to eat. Or we want staff to be at their top game. So if you need to sleep, go sleep. But evaluators will check. Soon you will know the person that is always going off to sleep now. Every 2 hours, I need to clear my brain. Another, I need to clear my brain. No, that person needs intervention. What do you do with your time as an organization? What is time spent doing? One thing that we try to do, we are not yet perfect, but we know it helps, is we try to create time for staff to play. NHC staff in the house, for staff to play. Sometimes at the end of a term or the end of the session, we'll have play time for staff. We'll first do workshop, like 2-3 days, workshop. When the workshop now wants to kill people, then we say it's time to play. Then in the morning, we go out to the fields there. And all the games we played as children, we bring all back. And some still play it as adults. Football, handball, blind football. The one they will blindfold you and you're supposed to try and kick the ball. We play it. Balloon game. Everybody line up. One balloon between each person. Then you shuffle. Don't drop the balloon. Compete against the other team. Tug of war. We play. We make time for it. After playing, then we sit down. We eat very well. Then everybody goes home. What do you make time for? Do you make time to counsel? Do you make time to train your staff as a leader? What do you make time for? That is how you create a culture. Your routines, how do you bring them in? Because when you want to create a culture, you have to say what routines can support this thing we want. For instance, every school has staff meetings. Is that not so? Maybe every week or every other week you gather. And most times, staff meetings are just places for management to talk to people. And everybody goes. Now, we are still on a journey. We haven't gotten that one correct yet. How do we transform meetings to places where we do more than management tells people things and everybody goes? How do you get the staff to talk to management during meetings? How do you get staff to be inspired during meetings? Or meetings for places of revelation, of great stuff. What do you do with your routines? Meetings are part of the routines you can use to bring certain things to life. What of language? The things we say and do not say. The things we agree should be said or not said. For instance, they are lazy. Right now, that talk starts to scratch my body. Because I've told myself again and again that you cannot say they are lazy. Do you know all of them? Do you know all of their circumstances that you say they are lazy? They don't want to work? So what's the language of the leader? And what's the language the leader permits within the organization? So I want to touch on something that I know is a problem for many organizations. Toxicity. Toxicity. Toxic workspaces. Leaders struggle when the workspace is toxic, poisonous. When the words people spill into the workspace poisons minds, drags people's spirits down, stops them from being their best. And one of the worst punishments anybody can give an adult is make them work in a place where they are miserable. But many of us do it. Why? Money is important. So a leader's responsibility, allow people earn their money without being poisoned in the process. Look in the mirror. You, the leader, are you adding to the poison because you are bringing yours from up, they are bringing theirs from down? Are you? What's your language? What about your mood when you come to work? What moods do you bring with you to work on most days? One of the feedback I got years back was I look too serious all the time. People will greet me, I don't answer. I will say I didn't hear, and it's true, I didn't hear. But the person who greeted me doesn't want to know that one, no. Me that opened my mouth and I greeted you. Receive it now. So as someone in management position, I had to go and sit down and look at myself, torchlight myself very well and say, this face needs to shift and be more mobile. You need more smiles. You need to slow down and ask people, how are you? And compliment their outfit if it's a lady. And if it's a man, compliment carefully. Notice when the man has decided today he will wear shiny shoes and polish them. Tell them, man, your shoes are shiny today, mashallah. Get a smile. Remember the person who came yesterday for permission to take the child to the hospital. And today or the day after say, and how is your child? Little things. To reduce toxicity. Another way to deal with it, sometimes the poison is coming from some, not everybody. As a leader, it's your job to find the few. Not find them so that you will. Find them so that first you understand. You are talking this way about the school or the management or colleagues. Why? What is the problem? Where is the need? What need is not being met for you? So try to understand. When you have finally heard, to understand, you have to listen with your mouth shut. As leaders, we feel free at any time to interrupt someone. But if you want to understand, you have to tell yourself, shut up. Just listen. Even when the person is saying what you consider OP, just listen to all the OP. Listen for the need. Listen for the truth. Because even if the person has packaged it poorly, it may be true. There may be something they are experiencing that they are misinterpreting. So you need to look at what are they experiencing. Can we shift it so that they interpret it better? Then ask more questions to clarify. Discuss what this person has shared. If there are any misconceptions, say, can I correct some things? Correct. But try to avoid back and forth arguing. Then have an understanding and agreement. What will the person start doing going forward? Stop doing going forward. Do differently. Follow up. That the person is keeping to the agreement. When all is said and done, you do not allow poison to remain. Sometimes what that person needs is to switch jobs, actually. The organization may not be the best place for the person. And it is that sense of dissatisfaction that is making them bitter, that every time they open their mouth, it's only poison that comes out. You cannot plant ugu in the desert and expect it to flourish. And you cannot plant cactus in the Niger Delta and expect it to flourish. I once tried to plant carrots in Benin City in rainy season. The leaves grew, they were very luscious, but it never ever bore any fruit. So as leaders of groups, as influencers, your job is to serve, your job is to be accountable, and your job is to be responsible. I would like to recommend a few things that you should check for the video. You'll see the videos on YouTube, I'm quite sure of it. You may find the books on pdfdrive.com. The Culture Code, that's one book. Second thing to look for, leading with dignity. The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. All these 3, go to YouTube, just check. You will most likely find somewhere where they interviewed the author or the author gave a TED talk. And your learning can start there. Because once you're in a school, you're in a learning environment and you must push learning, starting with yourself. Thank you for your time and for listening. Assalamu alaikum.